Hello and welcome to The Worst Movie Ever Made, an experimental movie podcast designed with one thing in mind, to find the worst movie ever made. I'm your host, Chris Ockman. I'm joined by my co-hosts and fellow mad scientists, Rob Scucci and Bob Hasek. Hey guys, how are you and why are we doing this?
I'm under the weather. I watched this movie at 1.5x on cold medicine at like midnight last night.
Nice.
And I think that added to why I might enjoy watching the movie Cliffhanger. And we'll talk about it today and see what happens. Bob?
Oh, yeah, things are going all right. It's a bad news day. The passing of Gilbert Gottfried. Not to mention how many bad movies he was in, but he's such a brilliant guy. I think it fits the podcast because he agreed and talked constantly about how many bad movies he's in. So maybe I can suggest one of his for the next season.
Okay,
yeah, let's definitely do that.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Let's just jump into some bad reviews, guys.
Okay.
This is for the movie Cliffhanger. So Anthony Lane of The New Yorker says, for all its technical sophistication, this movie is as blaring and unambiguous as a picture book.
Okay.
Destin Thompson says, she's from the Washington Post, or he, I'm not sure which. It's eroticism of nastiness. Triple X affair for dirty old men in raincoats. If you resist the sleazy gore fest, you'll be right to feel proud of yourself. Rob, right. I think you disagree in general.
I mean, it's pretty straight to the point. Like, I really, I kind of like that in an action movie.
It does move fast.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, giving that reviewer some context, it was pretty gory for its time. For a mainstream movie.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Rob, you got any YouTube comments?
Yeah, I got two of them. One's a statement, and then one's a statement, then an answer to the statement. The first one, love how Stallone's name appears above the title. I bought a few tickets to movies just to watch this trailer and left right after. Now I think back on that, I might have gone a little overboard, but maybe not. And then like a muscly arm emoji. I mean, we were like 5, so I'm saying like, if we were teenagers when this came out, I mean, things weren't that bad in 93 where like you'd have to spend disposable income to see a trailer and not even watch the movie, right? So
no, that's insane.
I found that fascinating. And then the second one is my favorite. Cliffhanger hanging from a cliff, and that's why he's called Cliffhanger. And the reply, what's your first language?
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that first person was an obvious troll, but made me laugh.
Yeah.
All right, let's do test number 1, the worst of its kind. Take it away, Bumper.
Is this film the best of the worst or the worst of its kind?
Yeah.
So we have some heavy hitters, which suggest that Cliffhanger's not as bad as I think it is. Mm-hmm. Commando, to start with Schwarzenegger. We've talked about this repeatedly, kind of like we talk about Cliffhanger. So eventually we will do Commando. But that got a 69.
All right.
Copland, another Stallone movie, got a 75.
My uncle worked on the street. They filmed that, and like they changed all the street names, and he's like looking out the window, like from his cubicle, and like Stallone's just running down the street shooting shit.
Wow.
Yes.
It's cool.
Never saw it.
First Blood with Stallone again. Saw that one, had to jot it down. Got an 87.
Okay.
Do you guys dig that movie or what?
I don't think like it's one of those things where like it's always on in the back. I never sat down and watched. That's Rambo, right?
Yeah.
Like I never sat and like watched like Rambo like with rapt attention and from start to finish. But like it's cool. I just never. I don't have a trusted opinion on it because I'm kind of detached from it.
Fair.
It's really not that different from this movie. I mean, it's just such a except for the fact that I don't think there's a body count in First Blood. In the very first one, I don't know if he kills anybody. It's one of those ones where he's like hiding out and like trapping people and just surviving.
He's kind of doing the Batman where he doesn't kill anybody.
I want to say just for I don't know. We can talk about that movie some other time. But out of the series, it was the one that tried to be most like relatable. It was a Vietnam
Right.
movie.
He was a Vietnam vet who is kind of a vagabond. Is that right? And he travels from town to town and just gets treated like garbage. So it's kind of a statement about the poor treatment of veterans.
Yes, and very different from the rest of the series. The rest of the series was just boom, boom, kill a lot of people.
Yeah, right. Well, that's probably why I got an 87, because of that real message.
Yeah.
True Lies with Schwarzenegger again. 69. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite movie.
I thought it would have scored higher. People loved that when it came out.
Yeah, it's true. They did. And Die Hard 2 with Bruce Willis. Now, I thought this would have a lower score because I saw it once and didn't want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Got a 69.
Yeah.
I think it deserves lower than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 369s. Just thought I'd point that out. I went back and double checked because I thought that was kind of strange. The average of 73.8. So we're going to compare Cliffhanger to that. Cliffhanger, 67.
Huh.
So it is negative. Negative 6.8, and it is the worst of its kind.
Okay.
Oh.
But we'll see how it stacks up against Spawn. I'm sure you guys already know, but for the audience that doesn't, we'll leave it a cliffhanger for the end. And we will jump into test number 2, the plot pitch. Very excited for this one.
All right.
Hey, oh God, hey, man. Hey, what? You want to hear my movie idea? No.
3, 2, 1, go.
An unhinged maniac lurks amidst the mountains of Colorado. He hides in waiting as a plot unfolds involving an unexpected government unmarked bill heist. He blends into the mountain community, quietly rigging safety lines to give way on rescue missions. While the rescue climbers battle the would-be heisters, Frank stays away from the action, too afraid that the conflict will catch the attention of the authorities. But he must draw from the power of the Rockies. He must drain the sweet juice of adrenaline on offer as another falls to their doom. He must first wait for the resolution of this mess that disturbs the rhythm of his routine, his obsession, his purpose. Cliffhanger.
um,
70 million.
I'll make it. I'll make it. And I'll give it 4 stars. No further discussion. Let's just make this happen. Let's push it through.
Okay.
Any star power?
We got Stallone, Michael Rooker, I think his name is.
Yes. Oh, Michael Rooker.
Somebody who used to be in the what was it? The Waltons.
He was also the star of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Oh, I like him. I'm in.
How about that? The Portrait of a Serial Killer. You say?
Yes.
We're going for round 2 on that one. So Bob's in, Rob is in, and Rob gave it a 4-star. How about you, Bob?
I'll give it 3.
So 3.5.
Yep.
All right, just give me a second to jot that down. You might as well play the bumper for test number 3, the worst dialogue.
The worst movie ever made presents the worst dialogue ever made.
Okay, Gabe, who is Stallone, to Hal, who is Rooker. This is right at the beginning. You guys might remember the flirtatious little scene happening between Hal's girlfriend. I don't remember her name in the movie.
Yeah,
she doesn't hang around for very long.
Oh.
I'm full of those today.
Yeah.
Anyway, after heavy flirting, Gabe says to Hal, "Excuse me, Captain Hot Tub. Keep your legs and arms inside the vehicles at all times."
Mm-hmm.
And there is no vehicle. He's just like going across the zip line to the helicopter. Yeah. I really I found the Captain Hot Tub to be deplorable.
Yeah, it's not very clever.
That was bad.
There was a mention of a hot tub and some story of a busted knee or something, but does not justify.
Yeah.
Right. Does that line also couple with when he uses it again at the end?
Oh, Bob.
I think it was intentional.
Okay.
That was a question I was going to leave for a little later in this list, but you saw right through me.
Hold on then. I'll hold on.
Hal right back to Gabe. This is at the very end, so a little trend here. Gabe, buddy, you think you could have put a little less effort into that climb? I mean, I thought you were in shape. And then Gabe says, yeah, I guess I'm falling apart. That seemed like improv to me. That was one of those, just in the moment, went for it. Not so good. Because Stallone didn't seem to like know what he was supposed to say back, because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, you know.
Like in his rider, there's like, I promise I'd only do 60 lines of dialogue. So anything after that, I'm just going to improvise.
Yes, every 30 lines, I get to take my shirt off, and I don't have another 30 lines. So. Number 8, Gabe is worried about Frank getting embarrassed in the beginning because his girlfriend in the helicopter with Frank is like, I see him, I don't recognize him, but I do recognize his ass or whatever. Yeah. Right, because it definitely was a stuntman. I thought that was kind of funny, like a rock climber. But anyway, Gabe says back, he's like, hey, you're going to embarrass Frank. And Frank, this just goes to support the Psycho claim. He says, it'll take a heap more than that, rock jock.
The opening dialogue was all cringy.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Right. It really was.
It was definitely bad.
All right, so we're going to move on to our first clip. And just to piggyback on what we just did, this one's called Supports Conclusions.
Hey, Jesse, you're just in time for another masterpiece.
Hi, Jess. Oh, I think old Frank nailed it with that stroke. What do you think?
I don't know.
What do you see?
Surprise me.
What usually eats a banana?
A monkey.
This is a picture of a banana eating a monkey. Nature in reverse.
Where?
Right here.
Frank, you look like a normal guy, but he's not. Are you, Frankie?
Hey, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Come on, you look like a normal guy, but you're not. Are you, Frankie? As he whips together that totally psychotic monkey eating or banana eating a monkey picture on glass.
My favorite part is he's just like, it's a banana eating a monkey, and he's like, where? And like, if you look at the glass, it's a banana eating a monkey. It couldn't be clearer.
Yeah, they don't show it like center of the frame, but it really is clear. And that was so great you picked that clip, because I only watched this movie with my eyes. I did not just listen to it, and to hear, "Ooh, I got it with that stroke. It's a banana." I'm like, "Oh man, there's a lot of that
surprisingly bad dialogue in this movie."
Yeah.
You guys know the actor Leon? He's in a bunch of stuff. He's in Oz. He's in Cool Runnings.
Yeah.
I like him, generally speaking. He's pretty good, but he had some bad dialogue in this movie.
Yeah. No, he definitely did.
Including when Jesse tries to shoot him with the Uzi that he dropped, but it doesn't fire, and he says, "No bullets, bitch." And then he turns to Stallone and he goes, "Time to kill a mountain man."
Yeah.
Is that your next line?
Those two coupled together, okay. I thought, you know.
Oh yeah,
I would make that number 6.
Yeah, no one talks like that.
No, time to kill a mountain man.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Gabe while burning the cash, which we're going to open up a discussion about that immediately. But here's the line first. He says, "Cost a fortune to heat this place."
That was pretty good. You gotta give him that.
I thought it was cheesy, but anyway, I
thought it was really predictable.
Yes, and
I mean, I didn't say it wasn't predictable. I just thought it was pretty good.
Guys, there's trees all over the fucking place with branches.
Yeah, it's the symbolism. It's not.
Yes, it is.
It's about the message, Chris.
He's a moral character.
Yeah.
Who is not instead turning the money in, or say feeding the homeless. Yeah. Or giving it to his the generations next to come, or whatever.
Getting a really bitchin' car, not telling anybody you stumbled across that money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Are we opening the discussion about the cash burning right now, or because
I want to?
It's true. They show close-ups of the cash withering because that's what cash would do if it was burning. Then they pull out to show a raging blaze that is not
right.
That's not, it's not faltering at all. It's just constant fire. I'm like, well, obviously that's bad effects right there.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty cool. That's like there was gasoline poured on on the fire or something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they had that.
I mean, they didn't say like you said, Chris. They didn't say they didn't grab a few branches as a starter.
Yeah. That's true.
So I mean, they didn't say a lot of things.
I think it's totally unrealistic too. Nobody's burning that cash.
No.
Nobody. No.
No
You're
one.
gonna bury it or something and say you burned it.
Yeah.
All right. Hal to the FBI at the end. He says, if you're looking for Quaylen, he's about 4,000 feet to the south. He'll be wearing the helicopter.
Now, you didn't include with the FBI's response. Remember what it was?
No.
He said, good.
See, yeah. They do this in the last 3 movies. It's the bad housekeeping where it's like you don't know what transpired. So you were just told that like someone murdered somebody. Like you're all being held. Like you're all being detained at this point.
Completely agree, Rob. You don't know that they're not part of his evil squad that did steal the money.
Yeah, I mean, he faked his death and they're covering for him.
Exactly. You can litigate all this by looking into them, but you can't immediately exonerate them.
Yeah.
Which is what the FBI did by saying good.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Quick wrap up with the ribbon.
Yep.
We're going to our next clip. This one's called Rob. I wonder if you know that I was knowing and winking at you with this one, but too long an analogy rage.
Yeah, that's a Dick Masterson thing. Yeah.
It's
too long of an analogy. Here we go.
Tell me, you like soccer? It's a great sport. I was a fucking good striker. Here's an outside Fuck you! You're swearing now. That's a penalty kick. Unsportsmanlike. A lovely little chip shot. He dribbles past one defender. 2 defenders. 3 defenders. Striker lines up at the penalty spot. He focuses on the ball. The crowd is on his feet. Striker moves to his left. Draws back his foot. He comes in.
There isn't a single through line in this movie involving soccer or growing up and playing soccer or like having soccer practice or anything to do with soccer.
And that clip took longer than it took you to read that YouTube comment last week.
Yeah.
That reminded me of that They Live fight scene that just goes on and on and on, the South Park lampooned in that one episode.
Was it the cartoon versus cartoon wars?
The cripple fight.
Oh my God! Yeah. With Timmy and Jimmy.
Yeah.
That was a frame for frame recreation of that scene, wasn't it?
And without planning or trying, I beat you to a South Park reference.
Yes, you did.
Wow, nice. Yeah,
that's gonna go on the bingo card.
Last comment on that one. It reminded me a little bit, and I won't remember the line now. But at the end of Catwoman, when she's like, the steel skin woman, diamond skin woman is like, game over. And then Catwoman goes, overtime, bitch, or whatever.
Yeah.
Season's over, kapow.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't.
Ugh.
That was what they call a tortured analogy, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
That was a dead horse ground into powder and then mixed into an adhesive at that point.
Yep.
Number 2 is Quaylen. He finally makes an appearance.
Okay.
He's talking to Travers, who we're going to talk about also. But he says, what's the code, Travers? And then Travers says, I told you, Quaylen, 50,000 possible key code combinations in 15-second intervals. Now, I guys, I realize this doesn't belong at number 2. Okay, I fully admit that. This drove my brain completely insane, so I'm turning to the mathematician here. Bob, does that make any sense? Or, like, does he have to know 50,000 different combinations every 15 seconds? And the order that they're in to know which frequency to plug in? Or what the fuck is he talking about?
My guess, even though it wasn't explained, my guess is you have to punch in the code within 15 seconds.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but intervals doesn't match.
Right, that's the wrong word then.
It totally is.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my guess. Because I did also that put me over for a while. I was like, wait a minute, I need to almost pause this movie, but I don't want it to last any longer than it already is. I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah, right. I kept sitting there thinking about it. Like, what do they mean? Because intervals to me meant that there were different sets like rotating. You know what I mean? Like a 6-chambered revolver or something, and you need to know which interval it's in, or something.
You've had this before. You've probably had things where you have to type in a code online, and it's like you have to type it in within 15 seconds of receiving the text.
Yeah,
like that's what it reminded me of. But it's the same thing as intervals between numbers. Forget it.
Yeah, I really don't know. But it drove me so crazy that I put it at number 2. So I apologize, because that's not science. I let my frustrations get the better of me. The movie deserves better than that, but it does have better than that. In clip number 1, the worst dialogue of this movie. Rob, give us a drum roll. It's called Remember, Shithead.
Remember, shithead! Keep your arms and legs in the vehicle! And all!
Okay, so Bob called this one. He totally called it. It drove me fucking nuts that they used it again, because it doesn't warrant 1 use, never mind 2. And to end the villain with that line and a kick, I thought was really pathetic.
Have you guys seen the movie Hostel? Like the Eli Roth movie?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Same thing. Like the first guy in the movie to get murdered, he gets like tortured or whatever, and the killer pulls his head up like in front of the mirror and makes him watch his own throat get slit.
Yeah.
And then the guy who survives at the very end does that to the killer.
Okay.
But like the guy who did it at the end had no way of knowing that's what happened to the first guy.
Oh, okay.
It's like, how you're calling back to the intro, but you weren't there for the intro.
Right. So the guy
it's
purely
completely
for the
lost
audience.
on him.
Yeah, it was for the audience, not the story, which pisses off the audience.
Yes, it takes you out a little bit. Any additional musings on that? Remember, Shithead clip, or do you guys want to move over to the bad action session?
I'm ready to keep it going.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Well, I will first then ask you: is the dialogue worse than Spawn? No, it isn't.
No way.
Okay, cool. So we will move it on to test number 4: the worst acting.
Test number 4. The worst acting. Naturally, we'd use the Catwoman thing for this one. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got some clips here, as we normally do, but I promise that they are not as beefy as that really long analogy clip. This one's going to be the next longest. It's called Drop It.
Look, I know how you feel about me, all right?
You don't know anything. You did it your way, and she died.
I did what I saw was right.
Well, you were wrong. It was your weight on the line that did it.
There wasn't time for anything else, Hal.
Oh, well, I guess we'll never know, will we?
Look, Hal, it was a bad time for everybody.
What the hell do you know about bad times, man? You didn't love her, and you didn't have to explain to her family.
And you didn't have to look into her eyes when she was falling. Now drop it.
Nobody! It was you who dropped it.
It being his girlfriend.
He walked, it being his girlfriend, but also he walked right into that one with the whole dropping analogy.
Yes.
I feel like they set him up for bad acting. It sounded like he was pained to deliver that line.
Yes, it did. Although I will say, Rooker. I keep wanting to say Roker because of Al, I think.
Yeah.
But Rooker, he definitely overacts in this movie. I think he could have had a bigger launching point from here. But then he kind of got stabled into the sort of television gig for a while until Avengers saved him. I could be wrong. I don't know.
He overacts in everything.
Yeah, definitely. He's got when he showed up in The Walking Dead, I actually thought he was really, really good because he is overacting, but it was appropriate because he was like the kind of backwoods like raccoon hunting with a bow and arrow kind of guy that's really rough and is going to be a total dick at every turn when he can be, especially to his brother. But anyway, enough about him because we will come back to him. Right now, we'll move on to our next clip called Fetch.
Rescue 1, this is Rescue Center. Hal? Come in, Hal.
Nice.
Over.
You're Hal? You, stand. You. Fetch. Fetch. Do it.
Nice.
I think the guy's name is Rex Lynn, I think. Is that right?
I think so.
I don't think he's that bad. I don't know what got into him there. I think the director maybe told him to be as intimidating as possible, but it completely comes out of nowhere where he's like, Fetch! Right, Stallone's here. It almost looks like Stallone was surprised because he does a quick turn like, what the fuck are you doing? And then he almost walks it back because he's like, go on. Like in this quiet, smooth tone. Just that moment I was like, what the fuck just happened? Something went wrong here.
Yeah.
Totally nuts. All right, let's move on. I'm wondering if these guys drove you nuts, Rob. Let's take it away with Cheesehead.
Next time you're like watching MTV, like take a split second and flip it to the Weather Channel. I mean, hey, where would you rather be right now? Here in Tent City or at home playing some righteous air hockey?
Air hockey's definitely got my vote.
Exactly, Cheesehead, exactly. Cheesehead.
So Stephen King had a book called Under the Dome. They
made that into a show, right?
Yeah, they turned it into a show. So the book is like this 1,200 page, like monolithic, like the whole story is a dome, invisible dome, goes over the city, and there's corruption. The town councilman tries to be taking power over the city. Supply lines get messed with and stuff like that. It's a whole weird thing. It's like Lord of the Flies, but with adults too. Who will conquer who's going to be loyal, who's going to be fucked up or whatever. On the TV show, it was super typecast. And there's this one kid, he had a beanie. It's like summertime. He has a beanie, long hair, and a skateboard. He's like, hey, buddy, cowabunga. I was just hanging out with my iPad. And it was just, that's what this reminded me of.
So much.
Yeah. You got your parents to write the role for the cool kid in town.
Their scene talking to Stallone from Jeep to Jeep was just hilarious. The opening.
It was. We like it extreme.
I don't know if that comes up again later in your test, but the fact that they were talking at regular volumes in moving cars.
Yeah, that's true.
Bob, to your point, they were talking at regular volumes when they were skydiving too. Like you,
Exactly.
this is what it would sound like. That's what it would sound like. So,
in both situations. Yep.
All right, we've got one more, and unfortunately, we're going back to Rooker here with Frank.
Yeah. Governor.
I'm sorry, that's just really funny.
Yeah.
That took me out of the movie. Talk about being taken out of the movie. That fucking moment, I was just laughing.
It's Jaws 3D all over again.
Yes, it is. Governor, I'm coming for you, Governor. Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Frank's death was definitely probably the most heartbreaking of all of them, but that ruined it for me when he was starting to scream his name in that awful way.
All right. Well, hey, before we move on from the worst acting, I want to mention the clip that I sent you guys and what sent me on the whole Frank is definitely a serial killer tirade.
Yeah.
If you watch the moments where Hal's girlfriend falls from the line in the beginning, if you watch Frank, you will see that Frank is smiling.
He's
but not
enjoying the shit out of himself.
Oh, my God. It is like he just saw a fillet hit the table. He's been starving for a week.
Yeah.
And didn't know it was coming. I mean, the dude looks completely insane. I'm going to mention that because somebody should have stopped and done another take and said, stop smiling like a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
Or whatever the guy's name is.
It's not even like the action was in the same like screen space as that. They could have just redone like them holding each other and him just like being a little more solemn, you know?
Yeah, he could have just kept his fucking mouth shut instead of like this wide grin that looks maniacal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be bringing that up again in my test later on.
Oh, nice. Okay, sweet. Do you guys want to mention anything else before we decide which of these movies has worse acting?
No, I think we covered it. Bob?
We all agree.
Yeah.
No,
okay,
it's
cool.
It's Spawn, in my opinion.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Spawn.
Okay. Luckily for us, I already jotted that down because I knew we would be unanimous there. So let's just move on to test number 5, the most offensive.
Oh.
Sorry, bear with me.
Damn it! I am tired of being Santa Claus. You get your together and you get your ass in the damn car. We're going. Now, damn it. Okay.
Number 1, kissing your boyfriend's friend on the mouth after heavy flirting.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was kind of like a charming, cutesy little scene until that happened. And then it went from innocent to very guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Was Hal's hate for Gabe warranted or unwarranted? We should have this discussion. It's really one of the plot movers.
I think Gabe did his best. If Gabe did nothing, he'd still be in deep water with Hal. If Hal did something, him and his girlfriend would probably die because Gabe seemed like the more seasoned climber and rescue men. And also throughout the entire movie, like they go from being buddies to hating each other, or Gabe trying to redeem himself at least. It's hard to tell. Like halfway through the movie, like wait, is Hal mad at Gabe or is? So I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But also like they were at odds with each other, then they weren't, and they were like having fun, like luring them away from their briefcases and stuff.
I agree. I think just to set it up for you guys to think at home. The real conflict was that Hal, when the safety line was set up, Hal said, as soon as she started slipping, Hal said, don't go out there because his position was that your extra weight is going to cause the already snapped clip to completely give, right?
Yeah.
What he was planning on doing, I'm not sure. They don't spell that out. But Gabe's position was, if I don't get out there, she will fall with no one to catch her. I think. So if I get there out there fast enough, and I guess he's right because he does catch her, but then he can't hold on to her. Also, she did not put in enough effort, in my opinion.
No,
you're about to die. You gotta swing your other arm up and grab onto something.
That's when your adrenaline's at its highest. You just fucking go for it, and if you drop, you drop. Like you're fine either way. You know, that's your body saying you're gonna have like almost superpowers at this moment in your life because it might be your last.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed. Bob, any comments?
I guess I don't want to again spoil my review later, but the conflict is very well set up from the beginning, and it pretty much drives the story until that clip you played when they talk about who dropped who. And that's when it ends. From that point on, it's very clear that they're in it together to survive, but they never resolve it. It's never resolved.
No.
The end of the movie ends so abrupt, like a fucking brick wall. The movie just ends. And it never, nothing's ever resolved.
To your point, Bob, there is definitely, I mean, it's essentially this movie is a redemption arc for Gabe, no?
Yeah.
There is a moment where the audience may feel satisfied because they get their gravy when he catches Jessie and pulls her out on the cliff face and saves her life. Hal, that wouldn't have maybe redeemed him in the eyes of Hal, but I think what they were trying to do is to have them go through such a traumatic situation together that they had to form bonds in order to survive.
Right, but you have to think one of the conflicts was he left like abruptly for 8 months, and then comes back just to pack his shit and take his wife, and she said, "Why don't you come back to the whatever?" And he said, "No, I'm going to leave." And then I guess it comes down to do one last rescue, then I'm gone. Well, we don't know if he stuck to that promise. He could have finished that rescue and said, "Okay, I'm out of here."
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good point. In that moment where they were arguing in the rain, though, she actually, I thought she had a good line of dialogue where she says, "If you turn away now, you'll be on that cliff forever."
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, that's pretty effective. That's a pretty nice line. So obviously, I didn't put it down for worst dialogue, but
with the exception of the rescue crew banter at the beginning, I thought the whole first act was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I got one thing to add in. I don't want to forget it. If you're late for work, why do you go out to comb your horse? Because that scene ends, and she's like, "I'm late for work." Like, you went out to comb your horse. So like you looked at your clock, go, "I'm 15 minutes late for work. I better get a few brushes in before I go."
Yeah.
I thought of that right away too, but I forgave her because I don't know what her routine is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's really funny. I did not think of that at all.
I gotta take my dog out before I go to work, and that's it takes just about as long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wondered, like, if you're a few minutes late but you walk in with something you obviously got on your way to work, are they angry? Okay, racist Australian guy using the word boy when he's talking to Leon.
Yeah.
That was rough.
It's covered right away, though. They do cover it right away.
Yeah, well, you mean in that Leon retaliates by almost...
Leon calls it out. He calls it out and retaliates right away, which gives the movie a little more credence.
Sure. Okay. And then burning the cash for me.
Yeah.
That was offensive.
Very.
I have one last one. Rigging a safety line, putting faulty harnesses on to watch a woman plummet to her death does Frank. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty offensive.
Uh-huh.
You guys are just going to go along with that?
Yeah.
Good, because it's in our little mini game that we're going to play.
Sure.
Comparing Spawn and Cliffhanger in the most offensive test. So,
all right,
here we go, guys. We're going to throw it right there. Total doggy disregard versus the use of the word boy in a very racist way. Which are you going for?
Boy.
Yeah, when you pull it out of context and take all the other responses out, boy is worse.
Okay. Having the B-Day violation or rigging the line for murder. And by B-Day violation, of course, I mean they invited a literal demon to entertain children at a birthday party.
I'm going to go with the harness on this one because they didn't know it was going to be the violator. They probably just called a clown contracting company, and he showed up.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with Rob on this one.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what I say, but I agree also, which means that for another week, Spawn does not win the offense. You would think that Spawn would be super offensive, but really the worst that they do is just a lot of fart jokes that fall on deaf ears for their audience.
It's offensive to your sensibilities, but otherwise it's pretty tame.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We don't have any shitcoin this week. You might have noticed that we haven't done the 5 facts, fact or no fact, or the whatever's going on with Rob's ad madness right now. But we're going to turn to that because we don't have a shitcoin. So we got the test out of the way. Let's have fun now, guys. Rob, why don't you do whatever they want you to do for ads this week?
Yeah, it's another movie trailer. I'm going to find out where they're recording next week and probably take care of things though. Here we go.
Today's episode of The Worst Movie Ever Made is brought to you by High School, the movie. Girls, boys, high school, the dean, senior pranks, hijinks, tomfoolery, a tuba full of shit at the pep rally, more boys, more girls, boys flirting with girls, girls flirting with boys flirting with boys. It's okay, they're all 35. Somebody spiked the prom punch. Wait, it's 2022. That kid's going to fucking jail. Sodomy. High School, the movie. We'll see you after class.
The Worst Movie Ever Made presents Fact or No Fact.
Okay, so starting with, before one climbing scene, Stallone turns his hat backwards, which was an intentional, purposeful nod to Over the Top. Don't know if you saw that one or not. Okay, the helicopter explosion at the end put off so much heat that one of the cameras melted. Stallone's stuntman was paid more than Stallone. Okay. The harness that failed, it was branded, so you could tell what brand it was, and the production company was sued for showing a what do you call that, like a branded merchandise failing on camera.
Okay.
And I lost my last one. Hold on. My last one. Oh, there it is. The strap the sensor to the rabbit scene. Remember that near the end?
Mm-hmm.
Was originally one of the dogs from an earlier scene, but test audiences freaked out when they started shooting at a dog, so they decided to go back to the bunny. They thought that was more acceptable.
Interesting.
Okay, so our five pieces of information were to strap the sensor to the dog rather than bunny, sued for showing the equipment failing, stuntman being paid more, camera melting, or Stallone turning his hat backwards because he wanted to reference Over the Top.
There's like 3 that are probably, that could be true in my mind. I think Over the Top, I think the lawsuit, and I think the dog rabbit switcheroo are all likely. Because people just love their fucking dogs, as we've learned. Chris even brought up the whole dog thing being offensive in Spawn.
True.
But brands are litigious. Like if that was like a Nike harness, then Nike would have like fucked them up. Going
no
like,
doubt.
oh. And then the Over the Top, like Stallone is probably that hard on himself, like bonerly, not like oh shucks. Like that he would probably do that, like as a way of like self satisfaction. I'm gonna go with lawsuit.
All right, man. This is very good, Bob. And I haven't once cheated, despite your speculation. So naturally, I did not cheat this week either, and these are all nearly equally plausible in my mind. I'm gonna get rid of the melted camera one, I think. I like the hat backwards. The stuntman money seems unrealistic, but I think he was doing free climbing on a an upside down sort of way, which is something he would have done anyway. I don't know. The guy. Bob, do you know if did they shoot in Italy? I know they shot in the Rockies.
They shot in Italy, mostly in Italy.
I thought that they must have, because the credits. I couldn't pull a ton from the credits because I'm just not in the habit of writing down names from elsewhere. That might sound funny to me because I have no idea what they sound like. What was that, Rob?
I was just letting air out of my mouth in the form of a burp. It was involuntary. I apologize.
The rabbit strap thing is also plausible, and the branded harness also jumped out at me, Rob.
Yeah.
So I think you did hat backwards, branded harness, and rabbit strap were your most likely, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Man, I really need to nail this, though. This is why I'm taking a long time to deliberate, because it needs to be Bob who watches Spawn Ass. I wouldn't feel that way had he not put out false accusations. All right, so I'm going to stop. What's that?
I'll accept the guilt on that one.
I've actually been cheating this whole time, and I know the right answer, and I've been purposely picking the wrong answer, so Chris gets all of them right.
Yeah, he's been texting me the answer.
That's plausible, also.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing is, like, if Rob gets this, like, I feel like our chances are increased if I go elsewhere, but I need to get this right, otherwise Bob's off the hook. Also, if I get this right, then Rob, you have to go clean sweep the rest of the way to not be the one.
Yep. Yep.
So there's a fuck ton riding on this. So I might do what's strategic, Rob, and go with you. That way we're both wrong, or we're both right.
Okay.
Because that will give me a strategic advantage going forward. Therefore, I will also select the branded harness.
All right.
All right. So first, I'll give you the ones that I've completely made up. The hat backwards, completely made that up.
That was really good, though.
It did happen in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought to myself, "Oh, that's so dumb. It's over the top." And I'm like, "That's going to go in my facts." Anyway, I made that up.
Nice.
The stuntman was totally made up. I made that up too.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other ones had some basis in reality. The bunny and the dog was never involved, but the bunny originally was shot and killed, and the test audiences flipped out, and they made the bunny get away alive.
Wow. So
I made that dog thing up.
So they didn't even credit the dead bunny that got on the screen.
And the camera, it actually did melt. Due to the heat of the explosion.
Right.
The thing about the branded harness, that was actually a stipulation for showing their brand on screen, was to I think it was to not show the brand specifically. I think that's what it was.
I couldn't remember seeing any markings, so I really almost moved off of that one, but I don't think I would have gone with melted camera anyway.
Right, but I read the thing that said they're not allowed to show the brand because it's failing, and I'm thinking I could never tell the brand of a harness, for God's sakes, but that was apparently a very big deal. And just as a note, interesting facts is oh shoot, now I forget which one it was, but an unrelated one. The climbers in general had major problems with this movie. because of all the illogical inconsistencies, all the things that would never work climbing. Like, climbers were the main people that had a problem with this movie. Almost everyone else was okay with it.
All right.
And that's probably a minority. I would suspect. You probably don't. You probably. It's probably not 60% of the population free basing a rock cliff. So
yeah,
0 of my friends are rock climbers.
Yeah.
I know a couple of guys that have those like fingered toe like grip shoes and stuff.
Yeah,
but I don't think they would categorize themselves as like extreme rock climbers either. So yeah, I'll go with that. I'm disappointed in myself for not getting this one. So Bob, you're basically off the hook.
Yeah.
Not if I have to watch the person streaming. We're all on the hook.
That's true.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself that that's not fair. We should make some kind of limit to how much the other person has to watch, because otherwise you're punished as well. Yeah. So we should like trade the loser should have to live stream the whole thing, and then the 2 others should have to join for like 45 minutes or something at a different time.
It's an open live stream, so you guys should, whoever, I'm saying you guys because I know I'm going to lose. But it's come and go as you please. It's a shit talk, and then like bounce. You know, it's like that's the fair way to do it. That's
really funny. Maybe I'll just have it. I'll have it up on my shitty laptop, and I'll just be watching like a different movie or something, or like, you know, and then I'll just pop over.
I do feel like the entire movie might be a bit of a reach. Maybe we should isolate it to like the worst half hour or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yes, let's drop Rob from the safety line there, and we'll give him a break. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do the catch-all. Then we are going to send it over to the 2 other segments, the worst production and the alternate ending. I flipped those this week because I just felt like it made more sense to have the alternate ending essentially at the end of the pod.
All right.
So I am just going to give you all of my loopholes and tropes and graphics and stuff that I didn't fit into a test but felt was worth mentioning, and anything you guys want to interject in with, feel free, obviously, as always. So let's do the catch-all. Gotta catch 'em all. Okay, I have a number here, and I'm very sorry, but I also have a once-in-a-lifetime segment for you guys coming up in the catch-all. I didn't ask Rob to make a bumper because poor Rob has to make a shit ton of bumpers every week.
It ain't no thing.
We're going to start with the rescue team is searching for Hal. That is, they are not sure. They're looking for the flare that he set up on the mountain cliffs at the very beginning. So they're like looking, and then finally Jesse's like, I think I found them, right?
Yeah.
They're communicating with Gabe as they are searching, and Gabe just so happens to be climbing the exact cliff face that they are on. How is that possible?
I don't know. Quinky dink.
I thought he knew where they were climbing to begin with and thought he'd get there first. I don't know. Yeah, they don't explain that.
Right, because Gabe would just be like, they're on, Devil's Peak or whatever.
Yeah.
They're on the pillar of, death or whatever. The guy who plays Travers is in so much shit. His name is Rex Lynn, but I wanted to mention again because he's in Rush Hour. But I've seen him in 30 movies or something, and I don't feel like he gets enough credit.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that never broke into the leading man role, but he's like 6'3" or something, so he gets these where he's like a notable henchman.
Yeah. I think the height's probably the advantage for that.
Here is a question for you guys. What do you think of Lithgow's voice / sort of Shakespearean accent thing that he does in every single movie? He's from Rochester, New York.
He's from Third Rock from the Sun.
Right. Why does
his acting is so on point, but you're right. The accent did throw me many times. I'm like, wait a minute, where is he from? If everyone else is not from, and they tried to explain it briefly that he was like an international criminal, no fear, psychosis, whatever. But yeah, I did agree that his accent took me out for a little bit.
It's just odd.
I wonder if he's got a stage background, because lots of guys that have a stage background, they do like that. It's almost like a non-regional diction, so they can enunciate.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering. I don't want to research it to derail the show, but I'm gonna look into that afterwards. I bet you he's done some like Broadway stuff or just plays.
I'll bet you're right, Rob. That's a really good guess. But it's like he's correctly doing what Poison Ivy tried to do in Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
But at all times, in every movie and every role he ever does.
Yep.
No, he definitely has stage cred.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's great. I mean, if you guys haven't seen Dexter, he plays Trinity in the fourth season. He is a very chilling villain in fourth season of Dexter.
He plays almost the same villain character in Ricochet. If you ever saw that with Denzel Washington.
No, I haven't seen it.
Lithgow plays almost the same completely psychotic villain in that too.
And also, not that height matters that much, but he's 6'5", so that does lend credit. Okay. Yeah, he's a big fucker.
Big.
All right.
The Extreme Boys could not have jumped that far off of the cliff when they go jumping.
No, they could not have.
Yeah, it's like they jumped out of a plane. They
would have banged against every wall on the way down.
Okay, obviously I had to say this. There was the line, "Take his coat for insurance." They took Stallone's coat so that you can watch his muscles grip the rock and flex on his way up. Let's be real. Come on. Okay, and then when he gets to the top of that cliff where the first briefcase is, he scrounges around and finds a little rock and then opens the fucking government briefcase holding $30 million with a rock.
All right, let me tell you something here real quick. Stacey works at Starbucks, right? And
yes.
They have armored trucks come for the cash drops, like the Garda trucks you see. That's Starbucks. You can't get into those fucking trucks, dude. We're talking like this is from the Treasury Department. They look like SKB or Pelican cases, like the same brand that makes like pedal boards and like rack mount stuff for studios.
Right.
Like if it's like a official one, like official like government issue one, you can't get into those fucking things. Let alone with a rock.
No, I know. And this is like a government briefcase holding millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right. But they got around that loophole. I don't know if you noticed at the beginning, they said no one would steal this anyway because you can't use these bills in the market. They're not real in circulation. They can only be used.
Security through security through obscurity. One of those things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody but Waylon.
But I mean, don't you also realize? I mean, have any of you made a snowball with bare hands before?
Yeah.
You can't do much with your hands for the next 15 minutes after that. And he climbed a fucking mountain and did all this. I mean, there's no way. Like none of it was possible.
All right. Bob, you are venturing into territory that we are going to fully explore.
Oh,
I
good.
I promise you.
You mentioned that climb, and that was the exact climb that drove me crazy.
Yeah. Oh, the one where he has no shirt on, like right in the beginning for the first briefcase.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we can do a little bit more discussion on that one if you have any more to say on it. But in general, we're going to talk about his physical conditioning.
Okay.
So to speak. So I don't want to cut you off, Bob. I don't want to be a jerk, but I also have a planned little fun game for everyone. Kind of involving all of this. The cold killed my radio trope. So Jesse is in the little like side hut and Gabe comes in like shivering cold. Yeah. And he's like, call Frank, he'll call the state police. And then she's like, oh, my radio doesn't work.
Yeah.
Too cold outside. Does it like you don't have the proper equipment for the thing that you do? Rescuing people on icy mountains?
Yeah, and if you think if that's a recurring issue, then they probably would have like magicked some new technology around it. That very issue.
Yes, definitely. That claw that Stallone has. This is to add on to that whole briefcase thing. He is tied by the ankle, and they are willing. They're ready to pull him down if he does anything suspicious up there with the briefcase. So two guys start pulling him down. Of course, Stallone is strong enough to withstand the pull of two grown men on a rope. That would have had a lot more leverage.
Yep.
But he withstands them long enough to use the climbing claw that isn't a blade to somehow snap the rope. Never would have. That thing was as dull as a butter knife at best.
And those are like ratchet straps you use in a truck. Like they don't. Those are like you can't cut through those with even like a switchblade. They're meant to withstand like high amounts of pressure, and lots of weight. So, yeah.
Would you say that he should have justifiably died there?
I mean, he should have justifiably died like 100 times before that.
Yes.
But also there.
Well, they both should have. I mean, that soccer scene alone would have killed him.
Mm-hmm.
I know a different character, but still.
Guys, check this one out. I know you'll both enjoy this because all three of us were together for this pod. A la Hard to Kill lipstick messages, Gabe built a snowman with a place for the tracker in the mouth hole. He's being hunted by men with machine guns, and he takes the time to build a snowman, put sticks in the arms instead of burning them, and and to keep the cash. And then he sticks the tracker in the mouth with 2 pieces of coal for eyes.
That is the most psychotic behavior in the entire movie.
2 pieces of coal and 2 branches that he decides not to burn.
That's psychotic. That's Cannibal the Musical psychotic, where like they're all dying and the guy's let's build a snowman, and also, yeah, it's a waste of time and resources. Why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah, that's it takes a little bit of energy to build a snowman.
Yeah.
Wrangling a rabbit and tying something to it might take longer. I don't know.
Yeah.
That is another. I'm going to skip to that one if I can find it. Let's see. I'm not sure where I put it. But I did mention that Gabe. I just said, okay, so I said Total Recall rat tracker bunny move. So
yeah,
there are rats that Schwarzenegger feeds the little sensor he pulls out of his nose.
Yeah.
He stuffs it into chocolate and throws it for the rats. So they're moving it all around when the bad guys come to find him. So they're shooting at different walls, like there, right? Totally copied here by the rabbit. That you mentioned, Bob, but I did write. Imagine Stallone having to catch the rabbit in the first place. That's really funny. And then he straps it.
You guys saw? Was it Rocky? He had to catch the chicken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly that scene would have been so perfect, although comical, in this movie.
I'm wondering if Stallone has some twisted version of it's very manly and shows the kind of shape that you're in if you can catch quick small animals with your bare hands. Not only can I catch chickens, but I can catch a rabbit in the wild as well with my bare hands. And then clip the little vest on like a tuxedo as the rabbit is scared to death thinking I'm going to snap its neck and eat it.
Yeah.
He did have a fear of heights, by the way, which is why he agreed to do this movie.
He did have a fear of heights, so he did an exposure therapy?
Yes, exactly.
Huh.
Wow.
Who knew?
Impressive. Yep. Okay, here's another muscle shot when he gives Jesse the sweater for the next, in the cave.
Yeah.
Right? Here's a major loophole. The very next shot, he's again wearing the sweater.
Yeah.
He gave the sweater to her to warm her up, but then when he's climbing up to chisel his way out of the snow, he's wearing the sweater.
Odds are it's bad editing, but could you imagine what transpired between those two scenes? Where he's like, no, you got to get that back. I need it back. I need it back. He's like, I meant get off her.
I meant for a momentary heat up. All right, when you have Jesse sneak kick Leon in the head, don't be surprised when Leon tries to kill her.
Yeah.
He turns the corner with the gun and he sees still Gabe, and he's like, "You're making it too easy, right?" And then Jesse kicks him in the head. But in kicking him in the head, she fell off the little tiny cliff face and falls down. Yeah. And then Stallone's like, "No!" When Leon grabs her to punch her in the head. What do you expect to happen?
Yeah.
Of course he's going to try to kill her. Also, on that, I didn't see the stalactite. It was not a stalagmite. It was a stalactite death coming.
Well, that was pretty cool.
Yes, there was a ragdoll effect where you can see that Leon is not Leon. He's like a doll. But there's a creative death, and probably why the critic that I read in the beginning was a little annoyed.
Fun fact: stalagmite has G in it for ground. Stalactite has a C for ceiling.
Oh, okay.
I learned that in Mrs. Scriven's class in first grade.
I did look up the difference because I knew there was a difference, and I didn't want to say the wrong one, so I did look it up. But
gotcha.
Unfortunately, I didn't see any facts while I was perusing the stalactites. And then obviously I wrote the tension in the opening scene was palpable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent job. I mean, I think that became a pop culture moment from there on. I mean, they do it. Obviously, everyone's is thinking right now about Ace Ventura.
Yeah. The raccoon.
Right. But it's also referenced elsewhere, and it's because it really had an impact on the viewer. I think it really did the job. Okay, I'm going to skip the Total Recall Rat Tracker bunny vest thing, and here's a funny one for you. You remember at the end when Quaylen is holding Jesse at gunpoint in the helicopter? She's like thinking it's Frank, and then Quaylen comes up in the helicopter. And she's like, who the hell is this? And then he pulls a gun out. So she just raises her hands. Imagine Quaylen trying to land the helicopter with Jesse at gunpoint the entire time. Because the minute he puts the gun down, she's running down the mountain.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just imagined him trying to maneuver the helicopter with Jesse at gunpoint. And that, for me, made a very funny image. Walker shoots from underwater. Would the gun work?
No, I think you need it's like a combustion engine. You need that spark, don't you?
Right. If everything's flooded in the chamber, you're kind of screwed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that scene at all.
No, I don't either. And I'm going to mention it again. After everything, right? After all of this stuff, he climbs a mountain, Bob. You were kind of alluding to this. After everything he did, he climbs a fucking mountain like it's Rocky IV, which was implausible on its own. And then I've got two more before we do this little thing that I've been mentioning over and over. Hooks. So Gabe hooks the helicopter to the ladder, runs to the end of the cliff, jumps off the cliff, planning to catch himself on the ladder that he hooked the helicopter to. This seems like a very bad idea to me.
Well, to go back to the YouTube comment, cliffhanger hanging from a cliff, and that's why he's called Cliffhanger.
Yeah, I guess if he's not cliff hanging often enough, then he's not a hanger from cliffs.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point, Rob. Okay, well, that settles that. Okay, I do not have another one. We're going to move right in now. This is, Bob, I'm sorry for cutting you off before, but this is the he should be dead count. And now I think it's up to 10.
Okay.
I had 9, and I'm going to go through all the times that he could have possibly died, should have died in many cases. Starting with number 1, hypothermia. Right in the beginning, Bob, the time that he climbs up the fucking cliff with just a t-shirt and then is digging through the snow to open the briefcase and then suffers the avalanche that falls on him in a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is shivering when he breaks into the hut. Then he's fine a couple minutes later. I think he's dead of hypothermia.
Yeah.
After the avalanche, at least. Number 2.
At least disabled.
Yes, definitely. He has dead fingers, black fingers from now on.
Yeah.
Number 2, Bob, again, Stormtrooper, I wrote. And this is a group. Well, no, it's not because I have another one. He is chased by the bad guys, and he is in wide open range. Like, if I was paintballing with my friends like I used to back in the day, I would have hit you. And I am not trained. You know what I mean? I'm not a trained bad guy on a squad for the psychopath who only picks the most efficient marksmen and psychos as his minions, so to speak. They would have hit him.
Yep.
Number 3, no way he's stopping himself after he was mansledding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's using a dude as a snowboard. And they're going 70 miles an hour down this mountain, and then they hit a stiff cliff face. He pulls that handy dandy butter knife claw and stops himself, a la Batman Begins. Only he definitely would have died. That claw would not have caught snow in such a way that would have held him.
Yep.
I don't know. Number 4, cave hypothermia. He gives away his sweater. He is in a frozen cave place for a number of minutes, having already been completely exposed, and his chill to his blood is already at the point where he's in danger.
Yeah,
and he once again is nearly shirtless. Number 5, Leon would have shot him. Leon, this is another stormtrooper, but Leon had a clear shot and missed him also. And then Leon would have beat him to death by then.
Yep.
Leon beats the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
And don't forget, this is after he falls down a crevice, hitting both sides on the way down with not much slowing him down. He probably would have broken both his legs, if not shoved his sockets into his.
You're losing a couple ribs too.
True.
Like you're
probably
going out. Yeah.
That whole scene was just death defying.
Ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. This is why the movie was always a favorite for my family, because at 10 years old, I was just ripping it apart for these problems. The bridge bomb. He's on a bridge. He's almost over the bridge, and then C4 explodes near to his face, but he's able to turn around and run the length of the bridge and dive over in such a fashion that he can just climb up and he's fine.
Yep.
C4. Number 8, he fell off a mountain.
Yep.
He falls 200 fucking feet. And he groans a little bit.
Yeah.
And number 9, he definitely drowned there. I looked up, because I'm dumb, whether or not it's drown or drowned, because that's something I always wondered, and I didn't want to mispronounce. Turns out you can say either. You can put
it's one of those weird ones.
Yeah. But he drowned underwater. He comes up and there's just ice, but the whole time he was actually planning on pulling the gun on Quaylen, Travers. Yeah. Right before Travers shoots him. That's probably another hypothermia death at best, but he was. Why not just shoot Travers? Why wait for Travers to almost shoot you? It suggested that he couldn't get out of the water, so he would have drowned. Yeah. And then I put one more, and so 10 is, we're going to say, the claw rope thing, where they would have pulled him off the cliff to his death. Okay. So we'll go with number 11. He might have gotten some kind of, it looked like those bats were biting.
Yeah.
And the bats are a dangerous thing to get bit from. So I'm thinking a week or two from here, he's dead again.
Like rabies or something.
Yeah, he and Jesse are just screwed. Yeah.
Agreed.
Right.
That is my catch-all section. You guys want to say anything else before we throw it to the worst production?
I'm starting to realize maybe this isn't as good as I thought it was, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself while watching it. So I'm going to stick to my guns on this. It's not worse than Spawn. I know that much so far.
Definitely not.
But, I'd watch it again. I'd definitely watch it again. It was just for the reason, like you said, like when you were a kid. This is my first time seeing it.
Yeah.
It's just, I enjoyed it. It was like,
entertaining.
It's just looking at all the little. I'm sure there's like 20 more things we didn't think of that happened that shouldn't have happened in that movie.
Definitely.
Just since it's catch-all, when I saw this on a date when I was in high school, and I remember a friend of mine in high school saying it was a funny name for a movie because Cliffhanger is also a reference to a booger in your nose. And when I watched this, I thought there's also a bat in the cave. So I feel like this.
How about that?
It hits both. Maybe they should have called a bat in the cave. Either way, it reminded me of that great reference, and I'm like, yes, I love that.
And in a way, all the con men were digging for gold.
Oh wow, nice, Rob.
Yeah,
you're nice. Good
it's
job,
guys. It's a juvenile movie.
It really is. Yeah, I've got nothing else. I was trying to think of one real quick, but I don't want to hold this up. All right, so why don't we throw it to Bob's worst production segment?
The worst movie ever made presents worst production.
Okay, worst production was in every way editing. The editing made this was the biggest flaw in the movie. I mean, take it back to what you mentioned before about the sweater switch,
Yes.
or about Frank's face, like those little details. But the major detail, in my opinion, was it was way too long for an action movie.
Yeah.
Like, think of every fight scene that could have been shrunk by, I don't know, a minute, maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And that opening scene, setting up all that time when they were rescuing, that could have been cut down. I
agree.
The editing in general, well, I mean, personally, I would have liked to see some resolution. Like, is she going to move with Gabe now that the pilot's dead and her whole business is done? Did Hal officially forgive Gabe? Like, all those things were never. I imagine they might have been shot, but the movie ended like right away. So
I did, yeah. To your credit, Bob, I really did think that it was abrupt. The end was abrupt. It felt like they did that was an executive decision where they decided we're just going to end it here because we're not happy with the way that we ended it. Whatever they decided to do, they didn't go with, and they just said let's cut it a little short. That's what it felt like to me.
Right, and it makes me excited for Rob's alternate ending, because I'm sure he could go many directions with this. But it reminded me of the ending of Predator, the very first Predator. Like, as soon as they nuke the jungle, the helicopter picks them up and the movie's over. Like, it was just that's exactly what it felt like.
By the way, I fucking love that movie. We should do it for a good movie.
Yeah, and they did a good job. They did a really good job of it with Jaws, the original Jaws. Like, they blow the shark up, and then they're like, "Woo!" and then the credits roll. And like,
right, but it makes sense because
there's nothing left to resolve. It was a perfect way to end it.
I just figured something out.
What's that?
Think of the name of the movie. That's why they did it.
Cliffhanger?
They didn't want you to know.
They did hint on a sequel. I forget.
Bravo.
No, bravo. But yeah, good point.
No, the editing is terrible. So Bob, is that do you want me to now mention what we're comparing that to?
Yes, please.
So you had said about Spawn, and Rob and I and Jay last week completely agreed that the lack of sets in Spawn, the different scenery that they offer, the lack of color, other than his fucking cape and his eyes, is lightning. And then we had mentioned a number of times, so I wrote it down again. His cathedral cache of bullets and guns and stuff that they just kept going back to because they didn't have the set built for all the time necessary to make a full-length feature. Am I representing that correctly, Bob?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so that against the editing of Cliffhanger, which way do you guys lean? This is a tough one.
Yeah.
That is a tough one. I feel like, given the budget, and the fact that they were trying to represent a real life possible situation, that the editing could have been better, but it still doesn't seem like it holds a candle to Spawn.
I'm gonna go with Bob on this because like, if you're just going, I know you're comparing two different types of things, like editing and scenery, but the scenery in Cliffhanger is great.
Yes, it is.
I would rather have the scenery in Cliffhanger than like Spawn's editing. If
you got it,
editing. Yeah,
you got it right there on your shirt, bro.
Yeah, it's peak, man. Our time to shine.
Nice. All right, I Rob, you just swayed me with the because I did really like the helicopter shots in the mountains.
Yeah,
of Italy apparently, but in my plot pitch, the Rockies. So what we're gonna go with Spawn again for this one, right? Do you guys want to before I send it to the bad credit names? Do you guys want to do any additional deductions for this or Spawn? Just because we've got an even number of tests now, so I just wrote a little deduction section in case you guys wanted to. We really don't need it this week. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with it without it then.
Okay.
Yeah.
In interest of ending this one at about an hour 30, we will toss to the bad credit names now. like I said before, most of them were Italian men and women.
Okay.
And there were some funny ones, but I didn't want to write down Johnny Peeny Weenie because it doesn't mean that in Italy. So
yeah.
I will start with Douglas Neithercut.
Okay.
Like a very very picky man at the butcher shop back in 1890 is where he got his name, I guess. Peggy Petrie.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought that was kind of fun. Wolfgang Gullick.
Okay.
Steve Harvey.
Nice.
Dickie Beer.
All right.
Oh.
Thor. The actor's name, Thor. His character's name was Thor.
Huh.
Do you remember a Thor? Because I don't.
No.
Okay, well, Thor played himself, just so you know.
Huh.
Michael Dixie Dennison.
Okay.
Montgomery Hook.
Okay.
That is a country singer, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's got to be.
Trindinde. That's the middle name Din. Trindinde.
Trindinde.
Two more. Brent Boats.
Okay.
I like that one.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I do too. And then this is definitely not the best we've ever had, but Gary Wrecker Hecker.
I like that. Wrecker Hecker.
Okay, let's do the movie comparison, guys. And it's already obvious, but Spawn had a negative 25.4. It wasn't the worst of its kind, but I think that should probably take it over the negative 6.8 and worst of its kind.
Yeah.
Because obviously Cliffhanger's competition was a little more stiff than Spawn's. So it also took down the plot, in my opinion, because it got a no from Rob, a yes from Bob, and 2 stars. So that's pretty bad compared to the yes from Rob, yes from Bob, and 3.5 star plot. So it took dialogue, it took acting. It lost on offensive. Again, it lost on offensive to Inspector Gadget, which almost got it.
Yeah.
Inspector Gadget is going to be a contender in its bracket. A Cliffhanger, maybe not. We didn't say any deductions, and for production, we went Spawn as well. So it's a 5-1 victory for Spawn. And I do not have a super live look in at Cat in the Hat, but it was ahead by 5 votes out of 62 total.
Okay.
So it was kind of a close race between that and My Senseless Gotti.
Yeah.
But Cat in the Hat was victorious. We got a good amount of votes. Good amount of votes. Just over 60 votes. I was pretty happy with that.
I can live with that.
Yeah, TikTok is starting to respond. We got some over there too. We usually don't get much in the way of TikTok. So Rob, I think your hard work over there is starting to really pay off. So
nice.
Thank you for that. Thank you to the listeners. We are watching The Cat in the Hat next week. Bob, Rob, love doing this with you guys. Can't wait to do it again next week, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, listeners. Rob, where can they find all of our shit?
Okay, so all of our stuff is at theworstmovieevermade.com, and I'm going to do my alternate ending, and then I am going to roll the credits.
Oh, my God. I skipped right over your alternate ending.
Good. Theworstmovieevermade.com. Thanks for listening, guys.
You can do this, or you can do that, or you can do this, or you can do that, or you can do this, or you can do that. Just pick one.
This one's really quick. John Lithgow escapes with the money, heads to Canada. Then he gets arrested at a Tim Hortons because they can't break $1,000 bill. See you next week, guys.